So the last video, hi, I forget, like sometimes these videos are not really like after each other and people don't really like watch them. But like they're literally kind of like they're becoming more of an updating nature. I feel like I've caught you up with a whole lot of things that I've worked with that have happened in my life. And there's a lot of details that we could revert to in the future, but like the main aspects that kind of like govern how I'm moving, I feel like we're kind of like reaching a good balance with them. But here, videos, this video is basically chaos and order. And for me, chaos is research mode. When I'm going out and trying to explore, the first thing I start doing is exposing myself. And I do that very much. And it's funny because like there's also like the chaos between my exposure and then when I come back home at night, there's the whole like, oh my God, what did I do? And then I have to kind of like sort myself out of it. And then the next day I'm excited again. And there's a funny way of which when I start going to people and going like, okay, so like I'm actually going to go and talk to people about what's on my mind in order for me to kind of hear myself do it, let it out. And a big part of my honesty is that I'm always kind of like openly aware of the things that are happening with me. But I don't really like, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm completely, well, I'm understanding them as they're happening. So so the best way I could explain it is emotional. The emotional part is not really sinking in as, I don't know, I can't say not really sinking in. Because when something happens, like I'm completely like I'm looking at it, I'm seeing it, I'm understanding how it's happening. I'm understanding, I'm attributing some stuff to it. Normally positivity and gratefulness, because anytime I find myself like in a dire emotional state, or just like in one of those like emotional states where they're not comfortable, I always kind of like try to trace where it came from and what could actually like what brought it and how I actually know me noticing that could actually change things and how everything passes and I get over it and basically we're all gonna die and Stoicism, Taoism, Confucianism, Christianity, Islam, all kinds of like approaches. And so my goal always kind of has was always to kind of see what comes out of me until I kind of like realize what's coming out has become repetitive. And you can tell that when you're having a conversation with friends of yours, and then suddenly you feel like you've mentioned something you've mentioned before. So I make it a point. That's why I talk about work, so that when the time comes and I'm actually mentioning something before, I stop and I go like, so maybe now I have been I have been doing stuff, but they're kind of like going back to the same things. So it's either something that I have to note to myself and go and like dive deeper into, or it's something that it's not that I'm stuck in. I have to explore on my own. It's not diving deeper. Diving deeper is researching more. Exploring is me kind of like doing something with it. Over the past 3 months, I kind of shifted away from the technical stuff of what I'm doing, and I went more into like the reading part, the writing part, the exploring like my thought process, my philosophies, re-establishing where my position is when it comes to nature. And I think the fact that I tried to work with people actually brought that out of me as well, exposed me truthfully to how I am. And there are a few looks from people that I actually know and genuinely care about, still kind of like are stuck in my head, and I don't know, it sucks. It really sucks. What really sucks is the fact that I try my best when I don't understand something to like say I don't understand in order for me to like get a better grip and just dive deeper into why something like that would be relevant. And just being opinionated is no longer a thing for me, and I like it. But so when I expose myself, it comes with a whole lot of kind of vulnerabilities. And I guess like it is just like those fragile parts of you that you have been kind of like, I don't know if it's hiding or if it's just trying to find some way to use to engage them with the world. And as you're doing that, you kind of like, as you're exposing yourself and talking to people and like opening up and like trying to research and asking questions, what effectively you're doing is you're revealing those weaknesses. And there's a YouTuber that I like a lot. He's called Theo, and one of the videos that actually caught 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 my attention was the people that work with him, and he's basically a tech guy. And the people that work with him, he made it a point that every one of them doesn't fucking matter. Needs to ask three stupid questions every day. And the way he explained it kind of changed my perspective on how I actually approach anything. And the what he truly says is like that if you ask a question that is stupid or that you feel is if there's a question you feel is stupid, you wouldn't ask it. But the problem is the reason you want to ask that question is because it's not 100% set with you. It's not 100% kind of like you know there's something missing. You just don't know what. But given what you're looking at, it seems so small and so kind of like in comparison, it seems like it's supposed to have been established. But it's these are the building blocks. These are these are the foundational like materials that you use to build your mindset, to build your maps, to build your like framework regarding anything you're approaching. And it's these smaller things that you tend to like talk about that really you know, but you don't you're you're not 100% in tune with. And you're not in tune with not because of anything, it's just I don't know, it's just like there are lots of places where you still haven't explored how they work in maybe. Uh, I don't know. I want to try and use an example, but what kind of example would work in this case? I don't know. Like my favorite thing to ask has always been what grinds your gears. Nah, fuck it. But anyway, so the point of his questions is to actually allow people to explore, is to force them to find something that is kind of like lingering in their heads, and they haven't found an answer to it, so they talk about it. And it's a chaotic approach for your own self because what you're doing is you're kind of like throwing something out there and you don't know what you're going to get. And then you have to kind of like work with what you get and fix something out of it. But then on the other side, once you actually like sort out what you receive and you kind of like build a certain base, then you get to actually take it a step further and then your questions change. But if you don't ask these questions at the lower level, you won't be able to take a step forward. And I've been considering my patterns over the past year. If anything, man, I knew that there was research phases and anything and everything, and there's like actual working phases. And for me specifically, I wanted my goal is to be able to like work in the morning and research at night. Well, that would be perfect. Like today was that day. Today was me like, working in the morning and all the things that got frustrated me in the morning. I found a way to kind of like detach for 2 hours. I worked out, I chilled, I watched some anime, and then by like 7 o'clock, I went back to kind of like working. But I was like researching more. I was like googling some stuff. I was watching YouTube's. So it was fun, but it was like a neutral, chaotic way to actually approach things. Whilst the past 4 months working with people has been kind of like a lack of presence towards what I am doing. But because my intention towards what I want to do in the future is super fucking strong, what's actually happening is almost everything that around me that makes sense towards my future is the only stuff I engage with. And I take notes. I've been like, I take notes, I do voice notes, I do all these things, and I've been doing them for so long, a year plus. Actually, over 3 years. I started doing them in Liberia. 4 years, I think, since 2020, let's say. 2020, 2021. So I've been doing it for like 3, 4 years now. And I'm doing them differently now. I'm like changing the way I approach them. But the goal was specifically for me to kind of like establish my next pace, and I'm so exciting for me to kind of to stop being in the whole mess of research and the world and slowly take a step back and isolate and get back to the roots of what I'm actually doing and kind of level up. And this is basically the stage where I level up. I level up on different places, on like different fields actually, because this is more going to be like the actual experimentation phase. Like every day, I literally have like 30 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this, 5 minutes of this, between French, Japanese, reading the books I have to read, the anime I have to watch. I have to. That's actually on the schedule. I'm excited for things to be more just me. And it's funny because like when everyone is coming, like this, it's Christmas time, right? And that's the time where I really just zone in and want to be left alone when everyone's kind of like outside. Maybe that's a thing I should discuss with myself. Like when it's summertime, I don't want to see anyone. But when everyone's not here, I'm like, hey guys, I miss you. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. I don't care. It's kind of like I'm always trying to prove something with when they're around. Huh, maybe that's something I could get over as well. Why the fuck not? But ultimately, I'm glad that I'm actually going into like a bit of order and creating more structure in the current like working conditions that I'm in and living conditions that I'm in. I'm super excited for different things, and I'm hoping I get better at seeing the patterns and reducing them in order for me to be able to like learn from them faster. That's the goal. Yalla guys. Thank you for today.